We're going to reconvene this January 24th, 2017 regularly scheduled board meeting for the Richland 2 Board of Trustees, where we've just returned from executive session to discuss the items that were mentioned in the motion for executive session. I will now have our inspirational moment, Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Elkins Johnson.
Yes, Mr. Chair, it is such a pleasure for me to introduce the next young lady. This is my former student from Ridgeview High School, who graduated in 2009 and went on to graduate from USC in 2013 with her bachelor's degree in human resources, and has been very fortunate enough to join the Richland 2 School Board. Richland 2 School family. So I'm so excited to introduce Bianca Young. Bianca, come forward, please. I'm so proud of this young lady. I've known her since elementary school, so thank you. If you push the red button to come on.
Yeah, mic button. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. After graduating USC, I just knew that I would get the job that I wanted and finally be able to start my career. My dream was to have a job that I loved and be with a company that really valued me and saw my potential. Unfortunately, like most millennials these days, I found that to be a very hard task. Through several setbacks and opportunities, I realized that it had been 3 years since I had graduated, and one, I did not like my job, and two, the company that I was working for did not value me. So being that I did grow up in Richland too, I decided to come back home and be a substitute teacher while still being on the job hunt. Even as a substitute teacher, I would still put my best foot forward because I never knew who was watching, and I never knew who would be that professional reference that I would need later on. After a couple months of this, I noticed that there was a position open in the Human Resources Department within the district. So, of course, I applied to it, and here I am today. So I would really just like to thank Richland School District 2 for giving one of its own an opportunity when so many companies, even though they asked for entry level but still wanted 5 years of experience, really just giving me a chance and a great foundation to start my career. I'd like to leave you all with a poem from John M. Nelson called Always Follow Your Dreams. Always follow your dreams, don't let them fade away. If you lose sight of your goal, it will haunt you someday. Always follow your dreams as you shoot for the stars. Nothing will be out of reach if you're willing to go far. Always follow your dreams, you just have to believe. No one can ever stop you if you're willing to achieve. Always follow your dreams, no matter how silly they appear. When others push them away, just pull your dreams near. So thank you. And now that I ask everyone to please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job. Thank you, Bianca.
Thank you very much for those inspiring words, and sometimes it just goes to show that you end up in the right place. So thank you very much for being here with us. Next, if I can have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Plank. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Shad. This time we'll have the vote. And vote, motion passes 7-0. Next on our agenda, Dr. Ham, the student focus.
Nancy Greger will be introducing the student focus for the evening.
Good evening, Mr. Manning, school board members, and Dr. Ham. Tonight's student focus will highlight Westwood High School. Dr. Cheryl Guy and Mrs. Pam Davis will move to the podium at this time, and they're going to introduce students and staff to share information about the school's makerspace.
Good evening, Chairman Manning,
Good evening.
members of the school board, Dr. Ham, Dr. Davis, and members of the executive staff. When we were asked to provide the student focus for tonight, I wanted to share about a unique resource that we have at Westwood, and that is our student makerspace. So I'm going to introduce Ms. Pam Davis, one of our teachers, who will then tell you a little bit about makerspace and introduce our students.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Many of you may be asking, what is a makerspace? A makerspace is any place an individual goes to imagine, design, and create, or make. In some instances, it could be an old warehouse space, a garage, an art studio, a sewing room, or even your kitchen. But at Westwood, it has the look of a traditional computer lab, but the energy is different. Students that enter the Hawk's Nest Makerspace can produce music, use a green screen for video production, participate in STEAM activities on Maker Monday, and learn to build switches with Makey Makeys. When we opened the Makerspace, we wanted it to be a space for all students, no matter their academic levels. So this year, we have set aside a designated time in the Makerspace for some of our special needs students to come in to collaborate and engage in STEAM activities. For the second year in a row, excuse me, we have hosted a Saturday day camp for our elementary and middle school students in an effort to introduce them to the idea and concept of making. This year, it was a collaborative effort between our Makerspace and some of the district's media specialists. So now I'm going to step aside and let some of the students and one of our teachers talk about their experiences in the Makerspace.
Hi, my name is Eamon Wood, and I'm a sixth grader at Longleaf Middle School in the Zubot program. I went to the Makerspace camp last month, and I thought it was really fun. I learned to think outside the box and to make cupcakes. My favorite part was the green screen because it taught me about technology. I thought that all of it was very exciting and educational.
Excellent.
My name is Jay Fields. The Makerspace has changed my life. Instead of playing drums, which is what I usually do most of my lifetime, I learned how to create my own music, and I can do something at home during my downtime after I finish my schoolwork.
Very good.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Jeremiah Scott, and I have had a passion for making music for most of my life now. Being able to make music at my own school is pretty amazing, actually. It helps keep me motivated throughout the day, and it actually helps me pursue a career later on in life with making music.
Excellent.
So,
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Sharon Llewellyn. I'm one of the special education teachers at Westwood. When I ask my students to use one word to describe how they feel about going to the Makerspace, this is some of what I got. Awesome, cool, challenge, nice, different, excited, learning, and fun, and fun, and fun, and fun. Access to the Makerspace is important to me because it affords my students the opportunity to make. They get to use their hands, their thinking skills, and their imagination, all of it disguised as fun. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So as you can tell, the maker movement is alive at Westwood. The activities and projects that our students are engaged in promotes design thinking. Not only do I enjoy being a spark for students in the Makerspace, but I also enjoy seeing the sparks when the things they imagine becomes reality. Thank you.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Thank
have
you very
any
much. Board members, any questions or comments? Thank you all very
Mr.
much. It was a
Chair,
great presentation.
I was just going to have a comment. One, it was kind of interesting seeing Dr. Guy up there. I kept waiting for you to do this. No, I think it's a great program. I love the idea that where there are no limits. And that's one of the, as we prepare our kids for the workforce, I think one of the challenges is putting us in boxes. And when you do enter into the workforce, one of one of the things that's refreshing to see as an employer out there is someone who is able to take ideas and take it beyond what the limits are. And so I appreciate that this program is doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mackey?
Just a comment, excellent presentation, and I know as all of our schools have, creative and unique learning opportunities at their schools, hats off to you for creating this opportunity at Westwood, and thank you, students, for sharing with us. It's always nice to see student faces here more than adults, but thank you for the presentation and great job with what you're doing, and hope you all continue to benefit from the program.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much. Maybe you can fix the lights on the way out. Thank you very much. All right, next on our agenda, special recognitions, Dr. Ham.
I'd like to call on Michelle Taylor Brown, who's going to introduce our teachers who are the special recognitions this evening. And we're grateful for that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We would like to recognize our first-time National Board Certified teachers, as well as our teachers who've earned National Board Certification for the second time. Overall, we continue to rank first in South Carolina with a total of 702 teachers who have earned this prestigious achievement. National Board Certification requires our teachers to demonstrate content knowledge, reflect on student work samples, video and analyze their teaching practice, and document the impact of assessment and collaboration on student teaching. I would like to congratulate our National Board Certified teachers. May today's success May today's success be the beginning of tomorrow's achievements.
Everybody, we're going to go up front.
I just have one request. Before we do that, Michelle, if you can make sure you pause between each teacher's name, because I know they have family members here and they want to hear that name and they've worked so hard, so if we can make sure we do that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
From the Center for Child Development at Rice Creek Elementary, Stacy Johnson. From Bethel Hanbury Elementary, Shannon Holland. From Bookman Road Elementary, Stephanie Harrell. Catawba Trail Elementary, Maria Alina Evangelista. From the Center for Achievement, Linda Roshto. From the Center for Inquiry, Christopher Haas and Rebecca Watkins. Condor Elementary, Jessica Laval and Felicia Richburg Sellers. From Forest Lake Elementary, Angela Powers. From Lake Carolina Lower, Amelia Lytle. From Lake Carolina Upper, Susan Comiskey. Pontiac Elementary, Judith Ryan. Rice Creek Elementary, Nikki Gilmore. Round Top Elementary, Cindy Simons. From Sandlapper Elementary, Monica Snell. From Windsor Elementary, Kim Craffle. From Dent Middle School, Nanette Hollis. And Rachel Tustin. From E.L. Wright Middle, Natalie House, Julie McCauley, and Keisha Williams. From Summit Parkway Middle, we have Ben Butler and Dia Jones. From Blythewood High School, Scott Ospermeyer, Judith Ray, Crystal Smith, Amy Whitfield, Allison Wilkins, from Ridgeview High School, we have Brian Butler. Spring Valley High School is Laura Sealer and Dale Sablo, and Westwood High School is Tracy Wilbur. If we could give them all a round of applause.
Yeah, I know, right?
Mr. Chairman, we do have another special recognition.
Oh, we do, okay.
Yes, and that would be our board. For those of you who are in the audience, it is National School Board Recognition Month, and we are blessed with an exceptional school board. So I want to acknowledge that you look out for our students and make them first and foremost in our decisions, that you advocate in our community for decisions and support that are important to the success of our schools and students. You set a standard for conduct in the district. You certainly set high expectations for student achievement. You are accessible, present in the community and in our schools. And you are the watchdog to make sure things go well in Richland School District 2. We appreciate what you do. And earlier this evening, you saw a videotape that we used to recognize you. But we wanted to share that with the folks who are watching this so that you can see what middle school students think about our school board. So we want to show you a video.
By the way, you'll see who paid somebody in this video.
What is a board member? A school board member?
I think they're the people that make like all the rules and kind of how they set up everything.
I think if they didn't like rules, I don't think the school would run real good because I think it would just be out of control.
I don't know their names, but I know that there's a group of people.
I've heard of them, but I haven't met them.
Can you tell me who the school board chairman is?
No.
Can you tell me who the school board vice chairman is?
No.
Can you tell me who the school board secretary is?
No.
Can you tell me who the school board bus driver is?
No. I know James Shad, but that's about it because one of my friends is Cameron Shad. James Shad, my friend, that's her dad. Yes, my father is a board member. I do know a school board member, Mr. James Shad. I know Lindsay Agostini, Monica Elkins, of course my dad, James Manning.
So you don't know your dad's name as the board member, you just know your dad's name?
No, it's James Shad.
Do you know how many of them there are?
I think there's a lot. I feel like there's like 30 or like 50, or there could be 15.
Do you think it takes a lot of energy to be a board member?
Definitely. I mean, somebody who has to make decisions that are really important has to have a lot of energy.
So you don't really think that there are any athletic school board members?
There could be just some guy with the gavel that could be really good at baseball.
Do you know what they use that gavel for?
For order in the court, like for people to quiet down, like quiet down.
I don't think I'm fit for the job. I mean, I'm bad at making decisions. I can barely decide what I want for dinner sometimes. I don't think I can make a major decision.
If you could give them advice, what advice would you give them?
I feel like the teachers don't have a good enough wage. They do a really good job, and they have to keep up with all these kids, and they're so nice to us, and they're just so kind, and I just feel like they don't get enough money for what they do.
By the way, thank you for giving our full week when Hurricane Matthew came, because I kind of got a break from school. I think that they do a really good job planning out the school calendar. I think they're doing a really good job because all our schools are very nice, and yeah, and we have new schools. Well, I've personally never had any problems around the school, and I've seen a lot of good things in the Richland 2 community and the schools, so I have to thank the school board members for that.
Are school board members teachers?
In a way, but they don't teach us. They mainly teach the teachers.
Oh, so the teachers have somebody to teach them so that the teachers can teach you?
Yes.
I don't think they're celebrities. I feel like they should be because they help children, and children really do set up the rest of the world for the future. I think they're very important. I feel like they don't get enough credit, honestly. They make so many important decisions, and I feel like they should have more credit. They should keep doing what they're doing because my school, the school I went to previously, and I think all the schools are great in Richland too.
What grade would you give the school board?
An A+.
Thank you, and keep doing what you're doing.
Mr. Chairman. In Richland, too, we're fortunate to have extraordinarily talented, capable, dedicated servant leaders as members of our school board, and we sincerely thank all of you. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ham. And I think we're all very proud of our teachers and the National Board certification that they got. And so that's really the crowd and all the staff and what you do, because you guys make us look good. You guys and ladies make us look good. So thank you very much for what you do. Next on our agenda, we have our consent agenda. If I can have a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Plank. Can I get a second? Second by Dr. Caution Parker. Is there any discussion? Just wanted to make one comment, just for the record, that Elementary 20 is on schedule to open Jackson Creek Elementary School. So we're excited that that's on schedule to open in May of 2017. So with that, we'll have the vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, we have our first public participation. I've got several folks signed up to speak. First on our list is Stephanie Trevitz and Noelle Poole-Enoch from school boards, or SEEA rather, sorry.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
I know it's hard to tell, but we're not middle schoolers. But we're here still to honor you. I am Stephanie Doyle-Trevitz. I'm a board member of the Richland County Education Association, and this is Noelle Enoch. She is our UniServe director, and we're both also members of the South Carolina Education Association. On behalf of both structures of our group, we acknowledge the personal sacrifices that you make. We realize that you have a commitment for the children in this community. You establish a vision, you design a structure to achieve that vision, and you assure schools are accountable to the community. And you strongly advocate continuous improvement in student learning. While you wear many hats in the workday world, you put on a collective hat when you get down to the business of leading this school district. You pull together as a team toward a common goal, helping students achieve. And as an association, we would like to thank you for standing up for South Carolina public schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for what y'all do.
She has some little prizes that middle schoolers don't have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your words. And while you're doing that, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and we have some other public comments. So, Ms. Tacoria Jones.
Good evening.
Thank you. If you just want to
My name is Tacoria Jones, and I would like a reply. I'm a dedicated Richland 2 parent. I started my own education at Forest Lake Elementary. And when I talked to my mom a while ago, I said, you know, when I was little, what did I want to be? She said, a teacher. No question about it. I have students that are state recognized scholars. I volunteer when possible. My face is familiar to quite a few people here tonight. With all that being said, I'm not a perfect person. About 10 years ago, I made a really stupid decision, and I ended up with a felony charge on my record. It's been pardoned. I served no time. I served no probation. I wasn't even ankled. The cuff, nothing. It's basically on a piece of paper. It's my goal to provide for my children, to provide for my family, and be a productive member of the society. And so I'm here tonight to ask you all to consider in your hiring process if there's a special consideration possible. If someone comes to you who's volunteered with your schools, who's known by your principals, by your social workers, by your teachers, that you give that person a second chance. This one mistake, I've never been in trouble before or since, but this one thing has hindered my ability to provide for my family greatly. And I hope not to be judged by that one mistake for the rest of my life. In Georgia and North Carolina, I could potentially move there and teach there. I've called their different districts. I've talked to their human resources, and they were willing to overlook that. But I'm from here. I started here, and this is where I want to serve. This is where I want to be. So I hope that you all think about that. I know there's probably a lot of things that go along in the hiring process, but not only for me. I'm sure there may be one or two other people in this district who have made a mistake, but still want to serve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. Next on our agenda, we have Ms. Gianna Coleman.
Thank you for giving me a chance to speak today.
Thank you. And speak into the mic so we can hear you clearly.
Thanks for giving me a chance to speak today. My name is Gianna Coleman. I am a 7th grade student at Blythewood Middle School. I wanted to speak about the dress code and its sexist bias towards the female students. Not only are there more rules governing the female students' bodies, but the dress code, when enforced, is done so unequally. When boys are found in violation of the dress code, they're simply given a warning and then a reminder of the dress code rules and then sent on their way. But yet when a girl is found in violation of the dress code, they are taken out of class, and not only is this embarrassing for the student, but valuable education time is lost. And girls that may be more developed, may have a more feminine form, can be found in violation of the dress code, wearing the exact same thing as a girl that is less developed. Middle school is a time where both boys and girls are changing in many different ways. This is the worst of times to bring undue attention to these changes, causing young girls to feel more self-conscious. Our society is constantly screaming at them through social media, TV, and radio about all the ways they do not measure up. School is supposed to be a safe space. School should be an environment where we leave all of that behind and do not highlight it daily. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, and that is absolutely on our agenda tonight, so thank you for speaking with us. All right, next on our agenda, ma'am. Next on our agenda, item 9.2, student appeals. If I can have a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for student number 1 to go to W.R. Rogers. Student number 2, Blythewood Academy. Student number 3, Blythewood Academy with Loredak.
You ready? Okay. Motion's been made by Ms. Agostini. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Elkins Johnson. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, we'll take the vote at this time. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, new business, no action requested, item 10.1, policy review. Dr. Ham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we told you at the last meeting, we're beginning the policy review for Section A of our policy manual, and tonight we're bringing you Policy AD, which is the school district mission, and Policy AE, accountability and commitment to accomplishment. And the changes to those are both very minor. They're recommendations from the School Boards Association to change the sort of introduction that's in the policy. No substantive changes to those, but we do want to follow those recommendations. So this is first reading, so we're asking for no action this evening. If you have any questions, Dr. Marshall and Franklin is available to answer them.
Board members, questions or comments? All right, with no questions and comments, item 10.2, update on policy JLCD and JLCDR. Dr. Ham.
The policy JLCD has to do with assisting students with medications, And the changes to this policy, if you looked at it, are a little more substantive to bring us up to date with requirements for how we do that in our schools. We're asking for first reading approval, and if you have any questions about that, Dr. Katina Davis is available to answer them.
Any board members, any questions or comments? All right, item 10.3, 2017-18 budget timeline, Dr. Ham.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we've come to the time in the school year where we really need to think about funding, but it's that time of year, and Dr. Miley will be bringing up to speed on our plans for the timeline for the budget process this year.
Mr. Chairman, board members, Dr. Ham, you have in your packet our current draft of the preliminary timeline or the budget. It's up on the screen. There's no action required tonight, and as usual, some of these dates change as we go through the process. I did want to point out a couple of things that I wanted you to particularly pay attention to in case there were changes that you might want to suggest. One is the February 7th special call board meeting that we're going to discuss. It's early in the process, but we felt like it was beneficial last year to get started early, get your thoughts and start talking about the budget process. So if that date is still good, we have it, I think it's on your agendas, so we'll just keep that. Second is the public input sessions. The county council's first board meeting, county council meeting in which we have to have our board our budget approved is later in the year this year just due to the way the Tuesdays fall. And so we actually have an extra board meeting, so we have an opportunity to perhaps have 3 or 4 public input sessions rather than the 2 or 3, depending on the calendar. So I wanted to point that out and make sure that was still a desire of the board to make as much opportunity for the public to provide input as possible. And other than that, again, remind you that some of these dates may change. For instance, one of the ones that we're still trying to schedule is the budget presentations by the departments to the administration, in which we have gotten a lot of good positive feedback in the past couple of years in terms of the departmental and school requests, and make sure we vet those and bring that information to you adequately. Any questions?
Board members, questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I have one
Yes, ma'am.
question. Is this timeline out on the website for others to be able to review it in case they want to attend?
It's on the public agenda tonight on the board docs. So it is, I don't think we have posted on the website yet, but we will post it on the website.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Other questions or comments?
Just thanks for your hard work in developing this timeline, and I'm appreciative of the opportunities for public participation. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Glad to.
Board members, other questions or comments? Dr. Miley, at that session, will you be bringing us, one of the things we've talked about, the board makes a lot of multi-year mandates and things that we've asked for throughout the year.
Yes.
So will you bring those to us so we have an idea of that immediate
We
impact?
absolutely will. We've begun doing that. We began doing that last year, in which, and the primary one is in where we've implemented a program that might have a 3 or 4 year rollout, in which it impacts not only that first budget year, but it has multiple impacts for future years. And so there's several that are on there, and we'll identify those so that, in essence, for instance, if we've started a program in which we need another teacher in a school, that's almost it's not a very discretionary decision. In fact, we'd have to undo something if we didn't fund it. So those will be pointed out as not necessarily mandatory, but they're things that we've committed to in the past that we want to continue those programs. So we'll identify those.
Right. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda, Dr. Ham, 10.4, discussion on our dress code.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm guessing this is the item that will have more discussion than our previous items. But you asked us to look into the dress code. We've done so. Keith Price, along with Helen Grant, have done the work in sort of reviewing this policy and collecting information. We'll share what we've looked into this evening, and we'll welcome your recommendations regarding any changes that you feel like we should make to the dress code policy.
Mr. Price.
Good evening, Chairman Manning, Dr. Hammond, ladies and gentlemen of the board. As a precursor to your discussion about the dress code, I have a short presentation to kind of bring you up to speed with the current state of affairs. Very timely that Ms. Coleman came up to speak tonight. I love it when students get up to advocate for things that they believe in. That's how we engage in any valuable discussions and potential changes, as well as to seek to understand things as why they are the way they are. So what I'd like to do is to start by doing a quick review of the current policy as it reads. Richland School District 2 students are expected to dress, be groomed, and otherwise conduct themselves in such a way as not to distract or cause disruption in the educational program or orderly operation of the school. Personal appearance and conduct of students should promote health and safety, contribute to a climate conducive to teaching and learning, and project a positive image of the district to the community. School administrators will be responsible for determining violations of this policy. The principal reserves the right to amend any provisions that he or she deems to be in the best interest of the student or the educational process. The board will review the policy for any changes needed on a periodic basis. The administration will make the final judgment on the appropriateness of a student's clothing, appearance, and/or displays of symbols, messages, or statements on school grounds, and reserves the right to prohibit students from wearing any articles of clothing or other items or displaying any symbols, messages, or statements which lead to or may foreseeably result in the disruption of or interference with the school environment. And recently there was, similar to the student that presented tonight before the break, there was another presentation by some students who also wanted to bring forth some concerns they had with the dress code and the enforcement of it. In addition to that, I believe there was a letter that was circulated that had some concerns contained in it as well. And the concerns that were mentioned both in person and through that letter fell into primarily these three categories, and this was before the statement tonight, but I think you may find some consistency with what was said then versus what was said before, is that some of the language in the current policy, when you dive into the administrative rule that's enforced at the school level, there's some language that targets girls more than boys. There was some concerns voiced with different consequences. Some students are sent to ISS, where others are pull up your pants and move along, or some are made to call for a change of clothing. There was also a concern that was voiced about unequal enforcement for girls, such as the one that you heard earlier tonight, as, quote, developed girls versus not so developed girls. When their clothes fit the parameters, sometimes it's enforced perceivably differently. In those comments and in the letter, there were some requested actions from students, such as changing the fingertip rule for shorts and skirts, changing it from fingertip length to thumb length. There was also a request for strap width for tops, not to be restricted, 2-finger width versus 3-finger width, and so on. There was a request that leggings and jeggings be permitted. And there was a request that rips in the clothing should be allowed from the lower thigh down underneath. In response to the concerns and the requested actions from the student statements and the letter that was presented, Dr. Grant and I have been working on some revisions to current policy that utilize more gender-neutral language so that it's not targeting one gender over the other. But there was also wanted to make sure that there was a clarification whenever administrators or teachers have to respond to dress code violations. Primarily, the intent is to address the infraction as quickly as possible and send the student on to class. So if a student's pants are down, or if their shirt's not tucked in, or if they have an inappropriate top that they could put a sweater on, or if they have a hat on their head that they could take off, if you can address it, do so, move on to class. Sometimes there are infractions when it can't be immediately addressed. And in that case, if it can't be immediately corrected, that's when the student is not allowed to go to class. They're sent to in-school detention room or to the office, and a parent is contacted to bring a change of clothing. Once the alternate clothing is delivered, the student makes the change and is sent on to class. If the alternate clothing is not delivered, the student is not allowed to return to class and must remain in detention. Students who repeat the violation for the same offense, maybe the same article of clothing or the same infraction, are then treated as a disruptive behavior or refusal to obey. As a result of these concerns that were brought forward, these policies were discussed amongst the middle and high school principals, and there was also an emphasis about the importance of consistent enforcement from administration. In addition, the middle school principals had a discussion, and they were asked to go back through the current rules and stipulations as they currently exist in the policy and the administrative rule, and they had no recommended changes. They were pleased with the way things were and enabling them to enforce the rules consistently. Their request was that the fingertip rule stay in place for the lower garment, the shorts and the skirts. Strap width is not specifically addressed in the rule. It only states that spaghetti straps and halter tops are not allowed. So tank tops or sleeveless tops are allowed. No need to change there as long as there are no undergarments that are displayed. Leggings and jeggings, they are permitted as long as the top is of appropriate length. And the way the administrative rule reads right now is that the top must be of fingertip length. If you have a top of that length, then the leggings, the jeggings, the exercise pants are permitted to be worn. Rips in clothing, they're not specifically addressed in policy. So what seems to be a consistent enforcement of that rule is as long as wherever the rips are in the jeans, as long as no undergarments are displayed, or the rips are below fingertip length, as the rule is with shorts and skirts, then the rips would be allowed. One potential change, high school principals also discussed policy to see if there were any recommended changes. And there was one in particular that they could see some leniency with, and it was the part that addressed the leggings, yoga pants, or exercise pants. And in that case, they would be willing to give some leniency and can give some leniency with the length of the top. And as long as the top completely covers the backside and the front side, then they give leniency to the fingertip length requirement. So I present this to you so that you are up to date with the current state of the policy, what's been discussed, and as Dr. Ham said, this is your policy, and we turn it over to you at this time for you to have your discussion.
Board members, questions or comments? I've got a few questions for you. One, a comment. I agree with this young lady. Our young men, I would say 9 out of 10 times are asked to pull their pants up and they move on. Young girls, most often because it's the clothes they're wearing, are pulled out of class and handled differently. And, so if we want to be equal in that, then do we send the young men to ISS or pull them out of class for a certain amount of time to be commensurate? Or do we find a way to leave our young ladies in class while we address the issue?
To answer that question, as I pointed out with the procedures, if it can be addressed and remedied on the spot, then it's remedied and the students are allowed to move on to class. If they have shorts or skirt that is not of appropriate length, and they have a change of clothing or a top that's inappropriate, shows undergarments, and they have a sweater or a jacket they can put on, they're allowed to continue on the class. It's when the problem can't be remedied that they're not allowed to go to class. And I will refer you to the administrative rule, how it reads. And it says that students may not continue to attend class wearing inappropriate clothing, articles, or display of items as defined in the policy. And we ask our administrators to enforce the policy as it's written, so they're following policy.
Ms. Mackey, will you hand these out on your side? And Mr. Price, if you would come grab this from me. If you'll tell everybody what's in that picture.
This is a picture of, looks like Dent Middle School cheerleaders, either at a pep rally or a game, in their cheerleading uniforms.
Pep rally. And would you say that those skirts are fingertip length?
Looking at the picture, I would, maybe for some, but not all.
And so this is a school-sponsored function, correct?
And a school-sponsored and school-purchased uniform.
Uniform that does not meet our dress code. So we have different standards within our practices for our young ladies.
Yeah, it's the same thing as if a swim team or a wrestling team, when they're wearing their singlets or your uniforms,
Yeah.
not everything
But the
fits
question
those
is,
requirements.
so you're going to let the swim team come in their swim outfit during the pet rally? You're going to
Probably
let the
not.
volleyball players come in their outfits during a pet rally?
Possibly.
Because those are very tight, short
Not disagreeing with you.
yoga pants.
Not disagreeing with you at all.
So, I feel like we do have some discrepancies in how we allow this, so it's okay to let cheerleaders somehow walk around the school in outfits that don't meet our dress codes, but we're sending other young ladies home who, in some cases, I think there's even a discrepancy between tight, kind of stretchy jeans and what is a yoga pant or legging or jegging. Like, to me, and I don't wear those, but they're but it seems like there can be a lot of confusion in how we identify some of those. I mean, would you agree that there are some folks that wear some very tight jeans, but because they're jeans, they don't fall within the dress code?
I would. When talking about leggings and jeggings and exercise pants, not only can they be tight, but they can be excessively form-fitting. So why tight jeans traditionally were not referenced in this policy, those type of pants were, because they can be, in some cases, excessively form-fitting, which is why the request for the shirt length or the top length to be of an appropriate length, so that the excessively form-fitting places would be appropriately covered.
So if that's our goal, why fingertip length?
Because that was the policy that the board adopted, and that's what we ask our administrators to enforce.
So I think at minimum, we need to address that. And we've already, obviously, by this picture, treated our students differently depending on who they are and how they're involved with the school, because we buy these outside of our dress code. So are we going to go to all our cheerleaders and tell them they need to have fingertip-length skirts?
If that is the desire of the board, yes, sir. If that is not the desire of the board, then no, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
If I may, I'm just going to say that the cheerleading discussion, I would put that in context to some extent. I mean, it's a uniform, it's for a specific purpose. Those skirts are designed for the acrobatics that they do, that are designed for
Absolutely.
visual effect or whatever. I mean, I don't know how else to say it other than that they can go up and go down, as opposed to skirts that are not fingertip length that someone may just be wearing undergarments or so forth, right? Is that correct?
That's correct. Some of our cheerleaders are also involved in competitive cheer, where there's a lot of tumbling, and lengths of the uniforms could be prohibitive in their movement.
And are these designed to be worn every day?
No, sir. At the middle school level, they're primarily worn on game days to show school spirit.
And then the football team, does everyone get a football jersey?
The football team?
No, everybody in the school.
No, sir.
Okay. And on football games, do the football team get to wear jerseys?
In most schools, yes, sir.
Okay. So, I mean, there's just inherent discrimination, if, for lack of a better word, on some of this, just depending on if you're active in that particular sport or not, and if it's a sport uniform. Because I would contend that cheerleading is somewhat of a sport, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And competitions and things of that sort.
Very much so.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But I think the difference is they wear their skirts during the school day. And if the point is we're not distracting the school environment, then this could be just as distracting.
Mr. Chair.
Let me, Monica, Dr. Elkins Johnson had asked first, and then I'll come back to the right.
I just want to say, when we're talking about comparing cheerleader uniforms to dress code policy, we're talking about apples and oranges. And also, I want to state for the record that I think it's very important, disrespectful to have a picture of cheerleaders from one particular middle school. If we want to showcase this, then I think we should have had photos of all of the middle schools and their cheerleaders. So I just want to state for the record that these are two different topics and subjects, and apples and oranges. Thank you.
Dr. Carson Parker and then Ms.
Mr.
Mackey.
Price, when I was deputy superintendent, and I'm going to tell you this, and some of you in here remember, we called the flip-flop war. The same dress code that kicked my rear end for 4 years with the board. It's no easy task. It's no easy task. And the problem, I think, really comes in consistent enforcement of the rules and regulations. That's where the problem comes in. But back to the cheerleading issue that Mr. Manning brought up. Is it still standing that cheerleaders wear have to wear pants,
Exactly.
sweatpants,
They
or
do.
something
They do.
under their uniform until they get ready to
They do.
perform. And once they're finished, they put those back on.
They do.
So they don't run around school all day long
They do, that's right.
in their cheerleading outfits.
I'm going to take it from a cheerleading
Yes,
mom that,
yes.
If the cheerleading skirts are not of fingertip length during the
Right.
school day, they are asked to wear their long pants until the time of competition before they have practice.
Yeah, that's clarification, whether it's fingertip or not. Cheerleaders, I know, I think even for these pictures, that they wear their uniforms for performance, but they wear pants to school during the day under their uniforms and then put them right back on afterwards. So for cheerleading, they govern, because it's a dress code violation, so they govern themselves accordingly at
Well,
all the schools, from what I understand.
At the end of the day, I don't understand why we would want to change for high school students so that it's not fingertip length and it covers them, but not middle school students.
And I'm not advocating that that change be made. I'm just sharing with you the feedback from the discussion.
Well, I would like to recommend that that change be made for both middle school and high school students.
And I think before we make a recommendation, that's for a board recommendation, and something that the board as a whole would have to make that decision and not just one person.
And Dr. Elkins Johnson, hence the reason it's on the agenda and we're having the discussion.
Thank you.
So, if there's no dissent, then I would like to move forward with that. If the board does not agree, this is the time for board members to speak up. To the potential change that's recommended, that we move from fingertip length to covering the front and bottom. So essentially that the back side and the front side has to be appropriately covered, not fingertip length.
That's just for leggings and pants.
Right, for leggings, for what it says up there, the leggings, yoga pants, exercise pants, the upper garment, because quite frankly, fingertip length for some girls is almost a dress on top of their other outfit.
Before we make that decision, give me your rationale, and for that one item, give me your rationale for the rule that you have.
Sure. In the discussion,
Because I'm sure you put some thought into it.
yes, ma'am. In the discussion with the middle school principals, they like the policy the way it is. It gives them the ability to enforce it consistently. And by not having the leniency or changing it, at first, when the one potential change was that the top be long enough to cover the bottom, but in their discussions, they also brought up the fact that not all shirts are cut evenly. Some are shorter in the front than they are in the bottom, and that's why they were really uneasy about saying bottom only. And high school principals picked up on that, and that's where they came forward with the recommendation that they would be okay with providing leniency as long as it covered the back side and the front side, not just one.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Dr. Caution Parker and then Dr. Elkins Johnson.
Okay, thank you.
As one who supervised principals and a former principal, I'm in favor of leaving the decision up to the administration and leaving things the way they
Absolutely.
are. I do understand some of the concerns that the young ladies have, and they presented a very good argument. However, the administration, just like our superintendent, that's whose neck is on the line, that's who we hold accountable, and I believe we need to support them. If this is something that they're willing to go the brick wall for, then I think we should support it, and it's their decision. With the changes.
Dr. Elkins Johnson.
Well, that was going to be my comment, that I want to support the principal's decision and leave it the way it is.
Yes, sir.
I would agree.
It's parents that don't have young ladies in school.
But I did.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
as a father of 4 girls, I'm in agreement with Dr. Caution Parker.
All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
As the mother of 2 daughters, I'm in agreement with Dr. Caution Parker as well.
Overruled. All right. Well, I will be happy to share with the young ladies that the board asked for their recommendations not to be taken into consideration. So thank you very much, Dr. Price, Mr. Price. Next on our agenda, February 14th, 2017.
Mr. Price, excuse me.
Yeah.
If I understand correctly, you and Dr. Grant have some recommendations to change the policy to make it gender neutral.
Yes, ma'am.
So we will be bringing this back as a policy recommendation from administration. to bring the language into compliance.
Absolutely. Thank
on
you
that
for,
issue.
for that reminder. We wanted to wait to get the direction of the board on this topic before we brought one proposal rather than a series of them. So we will have that for you very soon.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Next on our agenda is the agenda items. Dr. Ham for the February 14th
On
meeting.
February the 14th, we're going to have a very special Valentine's Day. We'll have
I was going to say, did we really schedule that on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, we sure did.
Wow, okay.
We'll have a faculty focus. We're going to be asking you for policy approvals on the policy that you had first readings for tonight. That's policy AD, policy AE, policy JLCD. We will be bringing a proposal for our 8% budget and a second quarter financial report.
All right, board members, other items you'd like to see on this or future agendas? All right, with that, we will move on to our second public participation. I have no one signed up at this time. Oh, I do have someone signed up. Thank you. If I can have Ms. Stacy Myers, please. State your name, and please also remember this is on YouTube for
I do.
ever and ever. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stacy Myers. I actually had addressed the board previously in regards to some transportation concerns that I had. This evening, however, I just came to make a comment about the Killian pilot program for notifying parents of delays or changes or anything of that nature. I have major concerns about transportation, but I wanted to make the comment that I am very pleased with this pilot program. I like the fact that we get early notifications for morning and afternoon routes. I like the idea that if there are changes that need to be made on the spot, we get real-time updates. So I am alerted of any type of delays that might cause my son's bus to be late, or I can even make other arrangements if that's necessary. I think it's an amazing resource that should be used throughout the county. I don't know if other parts of the county have issues like we have, but this has been, I guess it's been a pleasant welcome. I really enjoy it. And my question is because I understand it is a pilot program, is this something that do you guys know if I'm able to count on this to the end of the year? I don't see it being a resolution to the basic transportation issues that we have, but because of this program, I'm less stressed about what's happening with the transportation system. So will this be in place through the end of the year? Is it going to be cut off in a month and I'm still going to be wondering and looking around acting crazy because I don't know what's happening with transportation? Can I count on this at least to the end of the year?
And we don't normally comment. What I like to do is if I can have you talk to Jack Carter and Libby, they will tell you, and then we will also follow up with them to find out the same answer. So you'll get it before us.
Okay, well, it's an excellent program. I just wanted to make a comment on that since I've had previously made complaints about what was happening in the area that I live in.
Great. Thank you very much for the
you, guys.
comments. I appreciate it. All right, next on our agenda, board and superintendent comments. If I can start on my left and move to my right, Dr. Elkins Johnson.
Yes, just a few comments. Just thank you to Mrs. Davis and her career prep program and the students. Great presentation. I want to say thank you for that. Also want to say thank you to Bianca Young, my former student. I'm so proud of her for being a part of the HR team. Also, congratulations to our National Board Certified teachers. Really proud of them as well. Also want to welcome our new HR chief, Sean Williams. Thank you. Glad to have you aboard. And lastly, just want to take a moment of silence for the young man that was killed over the weekend, Jalen Palmer. So if we can just take a moment for his family. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Agostini.
Thank you. I wanted to first thank the district and also the South Carolina Education Association for recognizing us as a board this week. I very much enjoyed Westwood's student makerspace, seeing the innovation and creativity, but mostly making learning fun. congratulations to all of our national board certified teachers. And then finally, I really do want to commend the young women that put together the comprehensive list for the request to have a dress code change. While some of it, much of it, I agreed with where it stood and how it's going to stand. The one thing that I really want to commend them for is the effort that they put forth in reaching out. It wasn't just one school. It was district-wide between the middle schools and the high schools. And we received probably a list of 500 girls who signed it, but also hundreds of testimonials that they sent to us. So I just want to commend them for getting the group together and the leadership that they did display as a great representation of the students in our district.
Thank you, Ms. Agostini. Ms. Mack?
I won't be redundant, but to echo the sentiments of my previous board members, I'm echoing their sentiments, and so we can get out here and catch the rest of the Gamecocks game, hopefully tonight if we beat Auburn, but I digress. As always, thanks for everyone who's here, who makes things work. Tonight we were recognized for the school board appreciation. Thank you, Mr. Plank. I won't repeat all of that. Tonight we were acknowledged for school board appreciation. And I want to thank everyone for their kind gestures, but we are public servants. We are here to serve you. There are a lot of people in this room and in the district who make what we do possible, but we are here to serve the students and this district. We are here to at your pleasure. So the fact that you would make such a kind gesture to thank us for what we're supposed to be doing, I just want to tell you that I'm grateful and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Plank.
Yeah, just to tag on to that, it is humbling to be served and be served by our principals and those who care so much about what we do. And the reality is we're able to do what we do because of what you do and what you do every day. You know, it was neat to hear Ms. Young talk about what her experience has been and what drew her back to Richland 2, and that was value. So hours, pay, location, those matter. But at the end of the day, it really matters, are you valued? And that's the theme that we have here in Richland 2, is that we are a district of value, that's what we offer. And that value is made up of excellence in education, an excellent board, an excellent teacher force, administration, executive team, and I'm just really proud to be a part of that. Thank you so much for serving us this evening. It meant a ton. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Plank. Dr. Caution Parker?
Thank you. First, I'd just like to say a little bit about the student focus. I just think it's just outstanding, wonderful, the many opportunities we offer our children here in Richland School District 2. Congratulations to our National Board Certified Teachers. And as a retired employee of Richland School District 2 of 34 years, I personally deeply appreciate the opportunity to serve on the board. I appreciate your support and all that you do for our children here in Richland 2. Yes. And welcome to our new HR chief.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Shad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. I will echo the sentiments of my fellow board members, especially in this time of our board appreciation. We've had a lot of change that has occurred. I am extremely appreciative of the effort and the advocacy. As you know, I'm an advocate. That the young ladies put forward with regard to the dress code policy. And I do want them to understand that we definitely considered their advocacy. We just did not agree, and that's fine. There's a lesson to be learned in that as well. But specifically with these young ladies, they remind me of how put together they are, how they got this done. It was very concerted, and it reminds me of what we just experienced on this past Saturday. Girls rule. Guys, we got to step it up. We got to step it up, fellas.
Agreed.
But also with regard to the board appreciation, this is Board Appreciation Month, and we appreciate all the gifts and the kind gestures as well. But the staff, the teachers, the 27,000 students, the 9,000 employees that we have make our job very easy, very easy. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Dr. Ham?
I guess I just announced myself with the phone. I'm so sorry, everybody. I was sure it was turned off. But first of all, I want to congratulate Round Top Elementary. They're a finalist for the highly coveted Palmetto Finest Award, and that'll be announced March 21st. We wish them our very best, and man, I know they're a great contender for that award. I also want to mention, again, Sean Williams joining us as our Chief Human Resources Officer. And I know she would want me to tell you that we are going to have a career fair for our teaching candidates on February the 4th at Blythewood High School. And, you know, we want great teachers in Richland School District 2. So if you are a great teacher or you know somebody who's a great teacher, I hope you'll encourage them to come to our career fair on February the 4th. Registration is required, and you can do that on our district website. And for parents and students, we had a parent talk about our new app that helps you stay informed about our bus routes and our schedule changes, and you can find that too on your mobile phone apps. And I hope parents will download that so they'll be in the know about what's happening with their children's bus schedules. And finally, I want to close again with a comment about our board and express my admiration and gratitude for the service and leadership that they provide to Richland School District 2. It's truly exceptional. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ham. I'd like to also echo the comment. I think staff does, y'all make us look good all the time. It's amazing, and I mentioned this earlier to some folks, how many times I'm in the public and I get comments. I got a comment from an insurance guy who does insurance who said, y'all just do it right. The way that you handle certain programs in your district, the cost savings, the things you're doing, you're one of the top 3 in the state from an operations standpoint. I got an opportunity to stop by and talk to our maintenance folks that take care of all these wonderful facilities that we have. As you can imagine, every building has its own systems and issues, and they just do a fantastic job. And I tell you, they love their jobs. Every one of them was just as happy as they could be and pleased to be part of Richland School District 2. And so I appreciate that. Talked to other board members who are just from other districts who were just always amazed when they talk to our folks at how what a great job they do, how educated they are on the issues and the professionalism that they display. Those things just provide a great deal of joy for me as I go out and represent the district with the community that we are doing so many things right. But I will say this, and you know, I support the decision of the board, but I think we showed these young ladies again how, you know, 500 folks, many folks that came to ask the board to consider even a minor change to the dress code, if at the end of the day it was just a cover. And yet again, we showed them that their voices will be heard, but not make a difference. And I think it's a sad state of affairs. But I appreciate the board. Y'all have a great evening, and I guess we'll see you on Valentine's Day. So thank you.